Previously on X-Men.
What's up, Blue Ribbon Nation? It's your boy Jonathan, and welcome to a 90 Kids Guide to Television. As I said, I'm Jonathan, I'm your host. In today's episode, we're talking about a show that I still remember when I saw the first trailer, and all I could think was, that is going to suck. There is no way that's going to be good. You just can't do it. You can't remake a classic show and expect it to be good. It will not work. Especially a classic show that way before my time, but I grew up watching reruns on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I loved it. And I mean, you're gonna turn the biggest playboy in all of science fiction, I'm sorry, Kirk, but it's true, the biggest, into a woman. It's not gonna work. At least that's what my 14, 15-year-old brain thought when I saw the trailer to the remake of Battlestar Galactica. You can't turn Starbucks into a woman. It doesn't work. Except it did. Within 5 minutes, I fell in love. I remember I was at my aunt and uncle's house, and they have a movie theater room. So I went in there, and I put on the miniseries on a full, giant-sized movie projector screen. And within 5 minutes, I was in love. And the second we were introduced to the new Starbucks, I forgot all about the old one. So I'm sorry to say, because I used to love that show as a kid. But this new one just blew my mind. It was so well done, so well executed. The characters were so well defined. The world was so well created and crafted in the first third of the miniseries. Because if you watched it when it aired, it was 3 nights in a row, one part of the episode every night. And by the end of the first night, you were hooked. You couldn't not be hooked. It was incredible. Ronald D. Moore did what I thought was kind of impossible. He took a classic idea and reshaped it into something new. I'm not a big fan of remakes. I really don't like them by and large. But this is an example of what a remake is supposed to be. He took a classic concept and he reworked it and made it entirely his own. He told a brand new story, because a lot of these remakes are just literally remaking something that's already been made. They're taking the same concept, the same idea, the same metaphor, the same everything, and just redoing it. And it's like, why do you need that? But that's not what Ronald D. Moore did. He took the premise, which, in case you don't know, the premise is there are 12 colonies of humans. They're attacked by Cylons. In the original, they were aliens. The remake, they're robots. And they wipe out the 12 colonies, and a small band of ships being led by a Battlestar named Galactica go off in search of the 13th colony, which is Earth. He took that premise, which from what I understand, he really liked, because he wanted, when he worked on Voyager for a short time, he wanted Voyager to do that, the Star Trek show. And there were things he wanted to do in Voyager that they wouldn't let him do. And so he was like, well, I like that idea of being trapped and trying to find your way to Earth, trying to go through space all alone, and how do you deal with that? And he was like, well, if I can't do it in Voyager, Galactica had the same premise, let's take that. And he reworked it, and it worked. He took that basic premise and completely reworked it into something new. And every moment of it is gold. And he took a lot of the trappings from the original. Like in the original, Gaius Baltar was an evil man who betrayed humankind and worked with the Cylons. In this one, Gaius Baltar he's a selfish man. And he helped the Cylons inadvertently. And in the original one, he was always out for himself. In this one, he kind of is too, but he's not evil. He's more just morally questionable. He's not trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to protect himself. You kind of gotta respect that, right? Like, you kind of gotta respect that, right? Like, he took these characters and spun them on their head. Adama, he fleshed out. Lee, which is Apollo. They even brought the original Apollo back, which was pretty cool. And he fleshed out a backstory for the Cylons. I've never seen all of the original, but from the episodes I remember, it was always kind of ambiguous. Like, they just attacked out of nowhere. In this one, they were invented by mankind to serve us, and then they rebelled. And there was a big war, and then a tree was made, and then out of nowhere they come back. And throughout the course of the show, there's all these twists and turns, and we learn and uncover all these things. But it's just, it's so epic and it's so well put together, and it has one of the greatest endings of a show I've ever seen. Like, it's an ending done right. Battlestar Galactica was on top of the world. They could have kept going. They could have supernaturaled it, but instead they're like, no, this is how we want to end it. Let's end it now. And they went all in on that ending, and it's brilliant. Answers so many of the questions left over, yet leaves so much like, oh, what could happen next? What is this? It starts a whole new world, a whole new life. It's just brilliant. Plus, the show follows one of the key rules I have in this life. If you want to watch good television, you go on IMDb and you look up what Jane Espenson worked on. If she worked on it, it's usually gold. And she worked on this. She was also in charge, I believe, of the prequel. That's right. This show is 4 seasons long, has 3 movies, a miniseries, and a prequel series. The original is, of course, I think 1 season long and has a sequel series. There's a lot to watch. If you're looking for something to watch in the quarantine, you could spend a long time just binge watching Battlestar Galactica and all the various shows that go along with it. And it's not that bad. It's not that bad of a time. You'll have a lot of fun doing it. It's well made. Not to mention, it does what science fiction is supposed to do, which is reflect our world back at us. It's very much a show about what was going on in America at that time. And it shines a light on different issues and different ideas. And it creates a conversation around it where you could watch it, and no matter what your opinion is, you don't feel attacked because it's just different enough. That is what science fiction and fantasy are supposed to do. They're supposed to reflect our world back at us. Far too often when shows talk about issues, they get preachy. But shows like this, where they have different characters, have opinions, have philosophies, have ideas, and they do it in a way that makes sense, and it's brilliant storytelling. At its core, above everything else, the storytelling is brilliant. It shows the horrors of war, the desperation for survival. There's a lot of religious elements to it, which I was actually surprised of. But at the end, it's a story about people. People put in an impossible situation just trying to survive. And there is no better story than that. So I figured, this show is supposed to be about talking about shows that I love, that I think are interesting, that I think people should watch if they haven't had a chance to watch. So if you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica, I highly recommend you go watch it. You won't be sorry. But, plus it has Edward James Olmos in it. There's nothing that man is in that isn't good. Plus he follows me on Twitter, which you could too, at Goodheinz, Gutheinz. Then it has the dude who played Al from Quantum Leap. I mean, come on. We all love Quantum Leap. Al was one of the funniest parts of that show, and he's in this. Xena herself, Lucy Lawless, is in this. The cast is incredible. Just fucking watch it. What are you waiting for? Turn this off and go watch that. Please. Give us Legends.